It was one of the coldest nights the city had seen in years. Rain poured relentlessly onto the empty streets. People hurried home. Shops closed their doors. Cars rushed past. And on a lonely sidewalk, beneath a broken bus shelter, sat a 13-year-old boy named Samuel. His clothes were soaked. His stomach ached from hunger. His eyes were swollen from crying. Yet nobody stopped. Nobody asked if he was okay. Nobody cared. To the thousands of people who passed by that night, Samuel was invisible. Just another homeless child. Just another problem they didn't want to see. But what none of them knew was that one day, the same boy they ignored would become the man they desperately needed. And when that day came, their lives would never be the same. Samuel wasn't born homeless. His life hadn't always been this way. Years earlier, he had lived in a small house with his parents. They weren't rich, but they were happy. His father worked as a mechanic. His mother sold food at the local market. Every evening they sat together, laughing and sharing stories. Samuel believed life would always remain that way, until tragedy arrived. One afternoon, Samuel's father was involved in a terrible accident. The injuries were severe. Doctors tried everything, but they couldn't save him. The day his father died, everything changed. The family's income disappeared overnight. Bills piled up. Debt increased. Food became scarce. Samuel watched his mother struggle desperately to keep them afloat. She worked longer hours, slept less, ate less. Yet it was never enough. Months later, she became seriously ill. Without money for proper treatment, her condition worsened rapidly. One night, she held Samuel's hand tightly. Tears filled her eyes. "Promise me something," she whispered. Samuel nodded. "No matter how hard life becomes, don't stop believing in yourself." Those were the last words she ever spoke to him. By sunrise, she was gone. At 11 years old, Samuel became completely alone. Relatives refused to take responsibility for him. Some claimed they couldn't afford it. Others simply didn't want the burden. Within weeks, he found himself sleeping wherever he could. Bus station, abandoned buildings, street corners. Life became a daily battle for survival. Some days he ate. Many days he didn't. People walked past him constantly. Most never even looked at him. The few who did often judged him. Lazy boy. Street child. He'll never become anything. Samuel heard those words so often that he almost started believing them. Almost. But every night before sleeping, he remembered his mother's final words. Don't stop believing in yourself. Those words became his fuel, his reason to keep going. Years passed. Samuel learned how to survive. He collected plastic bottles, carried goods for traders, cleaned sidewalks, washed cars.
Anything that earned a few coins. One afternoon, while searching through discarded newspapers, he found an old-school textbook. Most people would have ignored it. Samuel didn't. He took it. Read every page. Then read it again. And again. Education became his escape. Whenever he wasn't working, he was learning. People laughed at him. A homeless boy studying under streetlights. To them, it looked ridiculous. To Samuel, it looked like hope. Night after night, he sat beneath the same street lamp, reading, learning, dreaming. Years later, a retired teacher named Mr. Johnson noticed him. Every evening, he saw the same boy studying alone. Curiosity finally got the better of him. One night he approached. "Why do you study so much?" he asked. Samuel looked up. Because knowledge is the only thing nobody can take from me. Mr. Johnson was stunned. Most adults couldn't answer that question so wisely. From that day forward, he began helping Samuel. Bringing books, teaching mathematics, explaining science, sharing wisdom. For the first time in years, someone believed in him. And that changed everything. Samuel worked harder than ever. While others slept, he studied. While others complained, he learned. Years later, he passed an entrance examination that shocked everyone. He earned a scholarship, a full scholarship. The homeless boy was going to university. People who once mocked him suddenly became interested. The same people who ignored him now wanted to know his secret. But Samuel stayed focused. University wasn't easy. Many students came from wealthy families. They had laptops, cars, support systems. Samuel had none of those things. Yet he had something stronger. Hunger. Not for food. For success. For a better future. For a life beyond survival. He worked part-time jobs. Studied relentlessly. Graduated near the top of his class. Then came another breakthrough. A technology company offered him an entry-level position. Samuel accepted immediately. He arrived before everyone. Left after everyone. Learned faster than everyone. Year after year, he climbed higher. His supervisors noticed. Executives noticed. Investors noticed. Within a decade, Samuel had achieved something extraordinary. He wasn't merely successful. He had become one of the most respected business leaders in the country. His company created jobs, developed technology, improved communities. The homeless boy everyone ignored had become a man of influence, a man of power, a man of purpose. But life wasn't finished with him yet. One summer, disaster struck the city. A severe economic crisis swept through the region. Businesses collapsed. Factories closed. Thousands lost their jobs. Families struggled to survive. Fear spread everywhere. And among those suffering were many of the same people who had once ignored Samuel. Former neighbors, shop owners, community leaders, even relatives who had abandoned him. They were desperate. Some lost their homes. Others lost everything they had spent decades building. One by one, they began seeking help. And there was only one person with the resources and leadership capable of making a difference. Samuel, the homeless boy they once overlooked. News reporters covered the story. People traveled from distant towns hoping for assistance. Everyone waited to see what Samuel would do. Would he remember how they treated him? Would he seek revenge? Would he ignore them the way they ignored him? The answer came during a public gathering. Thousands filled the city square. Television cameras rolled. Samuel stepped onto the stage. The crowd became silent. Many lowered their eyes in shame. They remembered. They remembered the hungry child, the lonely boy, the person they refused to help. Samuel looked across the crowd. Then he spoke. I remember sleeping on these streets. Silence. I remember being hungry. Silence. I remember being ignored. Some people began crying. Samuel continued. I had every reason to become bitter. The crowd listened carefully. I had every reason to hate. More tears appeared. But hatred builds nothing. His voice grew stronger. Pain can either make you cruel or make you compassionate. The crowd erupted into applause. Then Samuel announced something nobody expected. His company would launch a major recovery initiative. New jobs, training programs, scholarships, business support, food assistance, housing projects. The city was stunned. The very people who had abandoned him were now being helped by him. Months later, thousands found employment through Samuel's programs. Families rebuilt their lives. Students received educational opportunities. Small businesses reopened. Entire neighborhoods transformed. People often asked Samuel why he chose forgiveness. His answer never changed. Because someone once believed in me when nobody else did. Years passed. Samuel became more respected than ever. Not because he was rich. Not because he was powerful. But because he used his success to lift others. One evening, long after the crisis had ended, Samuel visited the old bus shelter where he had once spent countless nights. The shelter was still there, though now it had been renovated. Nearby stood a youth center funded by his foundation. Children laughed inside. Students studied inside. Dreams were being built inside. Samuel smiled quietly. He sat on a bench and looked toward the sky. For a moment, he remembered his parents, his father, his mother, especially his mother, and her final words, "Don't stop believing in yourself." Tears filled his eyes, not from sadness, but gratitude, because those words had carried him through hunger, through loneliness, through rejection, through every impossible moment, and now they had become a message he shared with the world. The truth is, many people will ignore you. Many will underestimate you. Some will laugh at your dreams. Others will walk past your struggles. But never allow someone else's opinion to become your reality, because the person everyone overlooks today may become the person everyone depends on tomorrow. And sometimes, the greatest success is not proving people wrong. It's proving yourself right. Samuel's story became famous across the country, but the lesson remained simple. Your circumstances do not define your future. Your determination does. And no matter how invisible you feel today, your story is not over, not even close, because the next chapter of your life could change everything, just like it changed Samuel's.